The espresso machine hissed behind me as I wiped down the counter of my cafe for the 100th time that morning. The Morning Brew wasn't much, just a cozy corner spot in downtown Portland with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. But it was mine. Another charity case? My brother Marcus's voice cut through the peaceful morning atmosphere. He stood in the doorway, impeccable in his designer suit, surveying my cafe with the same contempt he'd shown since I opened it 6 months ago. I followed his gaze to where I'd just served free coffee to Tom, a local homeless man who helped keep my sidewalk clean. Some of us care about more than just profit margins, I replied, keeping my voice steady. Marcus laughed, the sound sharp and hollow. That's why you're serving dishwater coffee to street people while I'm opening my 10th Silver Spoon location next week. Ah yes, Silver Spoon restaurants, my family's pride and joy. What had started as one upscale restaurant had grown into Portland's most exclusive dining chain under Marcus's aggressive expansion. Every location was identical. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, overpriced meals served with a side of snobbery. What do you want, Marcus? I asked, already exhausted by his presence. He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket, dropping it on my counter. Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner. Saturday night at Silver Spoon downtown. Try to wear something appropriate this time. I picked up the invitation, my stomach tightening. Last year's anniversary dinner had been a disaster. Marcus had spent the entire evening detailing his latest restaurant opening while our parents beamed with pride. When they'd asked about my plans to open the Morning Brew, the table had erupted in laughter. Such a waste of your business degree, Mom had sighed. All those years at Stanford and you want to serve coffee? It's not just coffee, I tried to explain. It's about creating a community space, supporting local artists, making a real difference. The only difference that matters is in your bank account, Marcus had interrupted. But don't worry, when your little experiment fails, I'm sure Silver Spoon can use another waitress. Now, watching Marcus straighten his tie in my cafe's window reflection, I felt that same frustration rising. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the Morning Brew was just the beginning. While Marcus had been busy creating his cookie-cutter restaurant empire, I'd been studying the industry, noticing trends, seeing gaps in the market. My cafe wasn't just a coffee shop, it was my laboratory. Every day I tested new ideas, built relationships with local suppliers, and learned what customers really wanted. And I was doing it all while building something else on the side. Haven Hospitality Group, a restaurant investment company I'd started with my Stanford roommate Sophia. We were small but growing, quietly acquiring struggling restaurants and turning them around by focusing on authenticity and community connection, everything Silver Spoon lacked. I'll be there, I said finally, tucking the invitation away. Marcus smirked. Good. Maybe you can pick up some tips on running a real business. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Julia? You try to keep the social justice warrior act to a minimum. It's embarrassing. After he left, I grabbed my phone and called Sophia. You'll never believe who just graced me with his presence, I said when she answered. Sophia laughed. Let me guess, his royal smugness himself? Complete with a fresh serving of condescension. I watched through the window as Marcus climbed into his Mercedes. How are the numbers looking? Interesting, actually. Sophia's tone turned serious. Silver Spoon's latest financial reports show some cracks. Their expansion's been too aggressive, they're over-leveraged. And their customer reviews are tanking. People are tired of paying premium prices for mediocre experiences. I smiled, thinking of the thick folder of research on my laptop. Marcus was so convinced of his success that he'd missed the shifting market. Young professionals didn't want stuffy formal dining anymore. They wanted authenticity, sustainability, connection. Keep monitoring them, I said. I have a feeling things are about to get interesting. That evening, after closing up, I sat at my favorite corner table reviewing Haven's latest acquisitions. 3 struggling restaurants transformed into thriving community spots. Small steps, but each one profitable, each one teaching us more. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Don't forget to dress properly for Saturday. And please do something with your hair. I touched my curls, wild and untamed just like me. Marcus might have inherited Dad's business empire, but I'd inherited Mom's natural hair and Dad's stubborn determination. They just didn't realize I was using it my own way. Looking around my cafe at the local artwork on the walls, the comfortable spaces where people gathered to work or chat, the tip jar we used to fund weekly community meals. I felt a surge of pride. This wasn't just a coffee shop. It was proof that business could be both profitable and purposeful. Marcus thought he was teaching me a lesson about success. But soon, very soon, he'd learn that sometimes the smallest seeds grow into the strongest trees. And I was just getting started. Saturday night arrived with an unexpected twist. I walked into Silver Spoon downtown wearing a simple black dress that even my mother couldn't criticize, only to find the anniversary celebration had turned into an impromptu business announcement. "Julia, darling, you finally made it." Mom air kissed my cheek, careful not to smudge her perfect makeup. "Marcus has amazing news." The private dining room sparkled with crystal and silver, but something felt off. The usual army of attentive servers was reduced to a skeleton crew. The signature fresh flower arrangements looked slightly wilted. Small details most wouldn't notice, but to my trained eye, they were red flags. Marcus stood at the head of the table, champagne glass raised. "As you all know, Silver Spoon has been expanding rapidly. Today I'm proud to announce our biggest move yet. We're going national. 20 new locations across 5 states." Our parents burst into applause. I took a sip of water, hiding my reaction. 20 new locations? When their existing restaurants were already showing signs of strain. "Of course," Marcus continued, his smile tightening slightly, "such expansion requires significant capital. Which is why I'm offering family members the first opportunity to invest." There was the real reason for this dinner. "Your brother's a genius," Dad beamed. "We're putting in $2 million. This is the chance of a lifetime." I felt all eyes turn to me, waiting. As the only family member not yet invested in Silver Spoon, my response was crucial. Marcus's smile turned predatory. "What about you, little sister? Ready to finally join a winning team?" I set down my water glass carefully. "Actually, I have some questions about the expansion plan. Your last quarterly report showed declining revenues in newer locations. And your customer satisfaction scores dash." "Always the analyst," Marcus cut me off, laughing. "This isn't one of your little coffee shop spreadsheets, Julia. This is real business." "Let me finish," I said firmly. "Your costs are rising, quality is slipping, and your core customer base is shrinking. How exactly do you plan to fund 20 new locations?" The room went silent. Marcus's face flushed red. "I don't need business advice from someone who serves pity coffee to homeless people," he snapped. Mom gasped. Dad shifted uncomfortably. But I just smiled, years of preparation giving me strength. "No," I said quietly, standing up. "What you need is a reality check. Your restaurants are failing, Marcus. Your expansion isn't ambitious, it's desperate." I pulled out my phone, pulling up the financial reports Sophia had compiled. "Your last 3 locations are operating at a loss. Customer complaints have doubled. And your suppliers, the ones you've been squeezing for lower prices? They're talking to other buyers." Marcus's face went from red to white. "How did you dash? I may run a small cafe, but I never stopped being an analyst." I gathered my purse, ready to leave. "And right now, my analysis says Silver Spoon is 1 bad quarter away from collapse." "You're wrong," Marcus sputtered. "Mom, Dad, don't listen to her. The expansion is exactly what we need, dash." "To bury you faster?" I shook my head. "No thanks. I'll keep my money in my little coffee shop." As I walked out, I heard Mom calling after me, but I didn't stop. My phone was already buzzing with messages from Sophia. "You were right," she texted. "Their suppliers just contacted us. Silver Spoon missed 3 payments. They're looking for new buyers." I smiled, sliding into my car. Phase 1 was complete. I'd warned my family, given them a chance to see the truth. They hadn't listened. Now it was time for Phase 2. Over the next 3 months, I watched as my prediction came true. Silver Spoon's aggressive expansion backfired spectacularly. Food quality plummeted as they cut corners to save costs. Staff turnover reached record highs. Regular customers, tired of paying premium prices for mediocre experiences, stopped coming. The local restaurant blogs started whispering about trouble in the Silver Spoon empire. Marcus's smug social media posts about new locations suddenly stopped. Then came the call I'd been waiting for. "Julia." My father's voice sounded tired, defeated. "We need to talk. About Silver Spoon." I closed my laptop, where I'd been reviewing Haven Hospitality's latest financial projections. "I'm listening." We're going to have to file for bankruptcy," he said quietly. "The banks are calling in their loans. Marcus, he made some mistakes." I thought about all the times they'd dismissed my warnings, laughed at my little café, treated my business acumen as a joke. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "When's the auction?" There was a pause. "Next week." "But Julia, we're not looking for charity. I thought you should know." I smiled, thinking of the thick folder on my desk labeled Project Phoenix. "Don't worry, Dad," I said softly. "This isn't charity. This is business." The bankruptcy auction was held in a sterile conference room downtown, all white walls and fluorescent lighting. A far cry from silver spoons, crystal chandeliers, and fine china. I sat in the back, Sophia beside me, watching Marcus pace nervously at the front. "Are you sure about this?" Sophia whispered, though we'd been planning this moment for months. I nodded, clutching my leather portfolio. Inside was a certified check that represented 2 years of careful planning and strategic growth through Haven Hospitality. "It's time." The auctioneer began his monotone introduction, but I barely heard him. I was watching my brother's face as he realized how few serious buyers had shown up. Silver Spoon's reputation was too damaged, the market too aware of its problems. Opening bid for the complete Silver Spoon restaurant group, including all locations, equipment, and brand rights, starts at $5 million. Silence. Marcus's face went ashen. $5 million was a fraction of what the chain had been worth just a year ago. $4 million. More silence. My parents, sitting in the front row, seemed to shrink in their seats. $3 million, do I hear $3 million? I stood up, my voice clear and steady. Haven Hospitality Group bids $3 million. Marcus whirled around, his eyes widening as he saw me. "Julia." I walked to the front, Sophia following with our documentation. Haven Hospitality is prepared to assume all Silver Spoon locations and outstanding obligations, with proof of funds ready for immediate transfer. The auctioneer looked relieved to have a serious bid. $3 million, do I hear 3.5? The room remained quiet. Most potential buyers had done their homework. They knew the restaurants needed complete overhauls. But that was exactly what Haven specialized in. Going once, going twice. "This is a joke," Marcus suddenly burst out. "He runs a coffee shop. She can't possibly dash." Sold. The auctioneer's gavel came down with finality. To Haven Hospitality Group. I turned to face my brother, finally letting him see the truth in my eyes. "Actually, I run a successful restaurant investment firm. The Morning Brew was just my research and development lab, where I learned what customers really want while you were too busy expanding to notice your empire crumbling." Mom stood up, looking confused. "Haven Hospitality? But that's the group that's been turning around all those struggling restaurants. Turning them into community-focused dining spots that actually make money," Sophia added with a smile. "Julia's been your competition all along, she just played a longer game." Dad approached slowly, studying me with new eyes. "All those times you tried to warn us about the expansion." "I knew the market was changing," I explained. "Customers don't want pretentious dining experiences anymore. They want authenticity, connection, value. Everything Silver Spoon stopped offering." Marcus slumped into a chair, his perfect suit wrinkled, his arrogance finally shattered. "What are you going to do? Turn everything into coffee shops?" I opened my portfolio, pulling out our renovation plans. "No. I'm going to do what I've done with every restaurant Haven has acquired. I'm going to listen to the local communities, adapt each location to serve their needs, and build something sustainable." The next 6 months were intense. We kept some Silver Spoon locations, transformed others, and sold a few that didn't fit our model. Each restaurant was reimagined based on neighborhood demographics and needs. The downtown flagship became Heritage, a farm-to-table concept that celebrated local ingredients and cultural fusion. The suburban locations transformed into family-friendly gathering spots. One became a cooking school/restaurant hybrid, offering classes alongside meals. Most importantly, we brought back the human touch. Every location had its own identity, its own connection to its community. We partnered with local artists, farmers, and charities. Profits grew, but so did something else: genuine goodwill. 1 year after the auction, I stood in Heritage's kitchen, watching the dinner service buzz with energy. The crystal chandeliers were gone, replaced by warm industrial lighting that highlighted local artwork. The stuffy dress code had given way to an atmosphere of relaxed elegance. "Miss Wilson." A server approached with a familiar face. Tom, the homeless man who used to help at my cafe. Now he was one of our most popular waiters, having graduated from our employee training program. "Your family's here." I found them at our best table, Mom, Dad, and even Marcus. They'd come for our first anniversary celebration, though I hadn't been sure they would. "This is impressive," Mom admitted, looking around at the packed dining room. "Very different but impressive." Dad nodded, studying the menu. "These prices are lower than Silver Spoon's, but I hear you're making better profits." "Because we control costs through smart sourcing, not by cutting quality," I explained. "And our staff stays because we pay well and provide growth opportunities." Marcus had been quiet but finally spoke up. "I didn't see it coming. Any of it. You played the long game while I was focused on quick expansion." "The coffee shop wasn't small thinking," I told him. "It was patient thinking. I learned the business from the ground up, built relationships, understood what people really want from their dining experiences." Later that night, after the last customers had left, I sat at the bar reviewing our latest numbers. Haven Hospitality now owned 15 successful restaurants, each unique, each profitable, each making a real difference in its community. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. 4 more struggling restaurants just contacted us. Ready for the next challenge? I smiled, thinking of how far we'd come from those days of being mocked for my little coffee shop. Success wasn't about size. It was about vision, patience, and understanding that real growth comes from building something meaningful.